Hello? Am I in? Hmm. Looks like I am. Hello. I recognize some of those names. I assume you're the same, group that I, met with before. I've recently learned that I can only, access the database files that I need if I'm, on some sort of call. So... that's weird. I think that's, my bad. I think I may have, messed something up there. So I can only access things while I'm on call, so... I guess you're gonna be seeing a bit of me. You didn't sign up for no researcher position? Oh yeah, you're the one that was, a bit confused last time as well, huh? Hmm. You know, you could take that to someone. They have these fun little things, I think they call them amnestics. They'll just, you won't remember any of this. I'm sure it's fine. How are we? How are we? How's your time been at the SCP Foundation? I've been, keeping an eye on things, as it were, from, an outside perspective, as it were. You weren't here last time? Hmm. Yeah, that's right, I don't recognize your name. Hmm. You, new to the lot? Late joiner? I don't really know how they organize these groups. What day is it, by the way? Hang on, let me check. Still have not improved the computer system, by the way. Terrible. 14th of February 2022. Okay, it's been a few months. Wow. It has been a little while. It's been a bit longer than I thought, actually. That's fine. You know, sometimes you just sort of get a bit, lost in time. It contains you and won't let you out by a breach containment. Are you a D class? But if you were a D class, why are they teaching you all this stuff? Why are we teaching you all this stuff, I mean? You know what? I said it last time. I don't question these things, you know? I do my thing. I do my thing. I show up and I do my thing. I don't need to question why you're here. You know? I just know that you have to be here if I want to do my thing. Which is teach you stuff, because that's what I'm here for. Smile. Imagine forgetting the day. Sometimes time gets a little confusing for me. I don't necessarily keep the best eye on it. I should. Speaking of, thank you for reminding me. How long do we have today? Let's take a quick look. If I can get this thing open. Okay, we have not a huge amount of time. But, we'll keep an eye on this bad boy and we'll get through. We'll get through. Shouldn't, hopefully have a repeat of last time, but you never know, I suppose. Never know with these things. You're a late joiner. That's okay. That's okay. You know, you'll learn bits and pieces over time, I'm sure. The important things we're gonna be... just listen to what I tell you, and we'll go over the important things, okay? Don't worry about it. Also, obviously, listen to everyone else, because... actually, I think everything is kind of important bits. It's fine. Well, that said, it's Valentine's Day, isn't it, speaking of? That's exciting. Y'all got any, spooky booze on the down low? I wouldn't recommend dating the SCPs, but it's not my job to tell you not to, so you can do whatever you like. Although I guess there's other staff here, so... Valentine's Day? Fair assessment. You know, it's been, been a while since I celebrated this sort of thing, so yeah. But SCP dating? You know, I don't know why I went to SCPs first. Should have just, you know, there are other staff you can date, I guess. Even civilians, I guess. I don't know why I went straight to SCPs. That would be weird. Yeah. You're an SCP? I don't think so. I don't think I'm in the classification system. I hope not, because that would be weird. I don't think I'm an SCP. I don't think I'm anomalous. Anomalous? But I'm not in it right now, I'm pretty sure. I feel like I would have noticed. Then again, I haven't really been able to check any of the files for a while. So. Kin assigned SCP. Interesting. Well, let me know when they have an article on me. I want to know what my number is. As actually, I don't want them to know about me. I mean, obviously they know that I'm here. You know, I'm a researcher, right? I'm in a lab and everything. You know, it's a bit dark, but I'm not gonna put the lights on because, you know, save your eyes. That's a good number. That's a good number. We assign you an SCP. Okay, you know what? I gotta teach you about SCPs, right? So I'll be an SCP. Whatever. Listen, as long as you listen to me, it doesn't matter what you think I am. Because it's very important that I get this through to you. Same thing pretty much as I was talking about last time, but since we do have some new joiners, I wanna drill this into everyone before we even start. Watch out. The apocalypse. Not happening right now, but could be happening at any time. Literally any time. So keep an eye out for that. That's what I want to be teaching y'all while I'm in this position. You know? We're gonna do some research and we're gonna see what we can uncover to see if we can't figure a way to deal with a potential apocalypse scenario should it come up, you know? If in the future, which I don't know anything about, if something like that were to happen, you know? Does it sound like people don't know about you? Nobody. Okay. I'm not supposed to be in this lab. I'm allowed to be in this lab, but I didn't book it out. That's why. That's why we have to be a little secretive, a little on the down low. That's why I can't turn the lights on. We have to be a little quiet. Didn't book the lab out. That's why. The apocalypse related to NFTs by any chance? The apocalypse will be significantly worse than NFTs. Although NFTs are pretty bad. Is this the time era for NFTs? I guess it's 2022. That's sort of, yeah. I wouldn't get into NFTs. It's bad region. Avoid those. NFTs through an SCP. I wish we could contain them. That's for sure. Anyway, shall we get into some documentation? It's Valentine's Day. Why don't we talk a little bit about love in the world of horror, you know? Love is a weird thing. Just in general, love is a really weird thing. Can't say I fully understand it myself, but can't be contained, so... Not booking out the lab, what are you gonna do next? Release the SCPs? It's a sliding scale of bad things, you know? I don't think I'll get in trouble for not booking out the lab. Probably got worse things I'd get in trouble for, but I think they'll let me off for, you know, not booking out the lab. Shall we get into some articles? Let's see. I'm not really sure where we're going to be focusing today, but let's have a read of a few things, shall we? I think that'll be fun. So, first SCP article that we're going to be reading through today. Let's get it up here. Look at that. They have improved the technology a little bit. I am kind of behind this thing. It's fine. What if I move this little thing out the way? There we go. That's a little better. You know, the CRT monitors haven't got a whole lot of space on them, but we can figure it out. Arrest Dr. Sparrow? Don't do that. Don't do that. You know, site security definitely know I'm here, and definitely wouldn't have any issue with it if you told them, but I would appreciate it if you didn't tell them I was here. Just, you know, let's make it our little secret, you know? I'm helping you, I'm teaching you these things. You helped me by, not telling them that I didn't book this lab out, and that's the only bad thing I've done. Okay? Let's keep that on the down low. Anyway, we're gonna be reading through Scp-2203. Is a love tester by the looks of it. So, how about we have a read through this one and see what we think, and we can have a bit of a discussion. What's the reason we can't tell security if they know? Shh. They know I'm here, just in the lab. They just don't know that I didn't book it out. That's all. Okay? That's all. Let's have a read. Let me know how the volume is. Scp-2203. Object Class Safe. Special Containment Procedure. Scp-2203 is to be kept in a standard locker and powered down between tests. Use of Scp-2203 is restricted solely for testing and not for any other purpose. Any information gathered from Scp-2203 must be logged in the experiment journal and is not to be acted upon without principal researcher's consent. All requests for hiring decisions, vacation time, or transfers to different facilities strictly on Scp-2203's advice will be denied. Researchers are expected to review the personnel guide, or Foundation policies regarding ethical behavior and relationships between employees before testing. Testing of the cards created by Scp-2203 using Scp-2236 has been approved, following review by Site Command. And here is a image of the SCP. Oops, sorry, I went a little fast. Scp-2203. Description. Scp-2203 is a standard love tester amusement. The amusement is 1.9 meters tall and is constructed from American chestnut, Castanea denata wood, brass and glass, with a brass hand grip on the front and topped with a tall light box. Next to the grip on the Scp-2203 is a brass plate with the following engraved on it. Find the one for you. Test your love and find that one special someone you're destined to spend the rest of your life with. Your sweetheart is waiting. On the back of the machine is a small plaque listing the Great Amusementology Company as the manufacturer. Similar to other love testers, when activated, the lightbox cycles through each light while a beeping melody is played. Based on the measured skin conductivity of the subject holding the hand grip, the lightbox indicates the supposed score of the subject's romantic appeal. The possible results are Please Try Again, Clammy, Harmless, Mild, Naughty but Nice, Wild, Burning, Passionate, Hot Stuff, and Uncontrollable. I'll explain in a minute. Unlike other love testers, Scp-2203 also dispenses a calling card displaying the name and address of a person, along with a few words of advice about approaching said person. In all cases, the person mentioned has been proven to exist. Examination of the internal workings of Scp-2203 has been unable to ascertain the information source of the names and addresses, nor has any method of choosing a name been found. Subjects who approach the person named on the card report finding an easy bond between the two can be created, as if the subject implicitly understood the person. Subsequent interviews with the person approached also indicate a reciprocation of positive emotional connections with the subject. Sexual, romantic, and otherwise intimate relationships between the subject and the person have been determined by interview to be long-lasting, with marriage and full expectation of a happy life being common results. Both subject and person express lower cortisol levels, and higher oxytocin and vasopressin levels in the event of a continuation of the bond. Testing has shown that the bond is non-anomalous in nature and can be disrupted. Tactics on the initial approach that suggest a lack of safety on the part of the person approached can dissuade the person from further interaction with the subject as normal. Subsequent assaults or acts of betrayal once the bond has been established can dissolve the bond. The anomalous nature of Scp-2203 involves its ability to choose someone who reacts positively to the subject's personality and does not impart any extra ability to strengthen the bond. Recovery log. Scp-2203 was recovered on 14th February 1973 from, redacted, in San Francisco, CA. Police were called to break up and arrest two individuals who were fighting in front of the object, which was in the corner of a room with similar amusements. The Foundation agent embedded in the police force— this is so intense. Music. The Foundation agent embedded in the police force investigated the claim from the altercators that one man's girlfriend was supposed to be the other's true mate, according to the object. The agent operated Scp-2203 and was given a card with the name and current address of a former girlfriend in St. Louis, MO. He reported the event to the Foundation and requested vacation time. Addendum 2203A Experiment Log. Initial D-Class safety testing revealed no anomalous risks from Scp-2203. See Safety Log 22031. Principal researcher Dr. Andrew Califano reports testing with well-socialized subject, recommends testing with well-socialized subjects of up to Level 3 clearance. Permission granted. Experiment 2203A1. Date 17th February 1973. Subject Dr. Andrew Califano. Note: Dr. Califano is married to Sylvia Califano, with two young children, Michael and Jocelyn. He reports a happy home. Score: mild. Card: Sylvia Califano. Redacted Monte Vista. Redacted. But you already know that. Result: Sylvia Califano asked to come in for testing. Experiment 2203A2. 18th February 1973. Subject: Sylvia Califano. Nose: wife of Dr. Andrew Califano. Score: naughty but nice. Card: Andrew Califano. Blank, Monte Vista, redacted. You two are so lovely together. Result: testing confirms that perfect reciprocal matches are possible. Experiment 2203A14. Date 9th of August 1984. Subject: Agent Ron Townsend. Notes: subject is single and unattached. Score: uncontrollable. Card: Olivia Scarborough. Redacted, Leeds. Patient's friend. Result: Agent Towson reported AWOL and disappeared on 15th December 1984. Subject was not located and not probably amnesticized before termination of employment. Tracking down evasive Agent Towson considered high priority as he is well trained in Foundation tactics and infiltration. On 25th December 1984, a domestic disturbance and intruder at the home of Miss Scarborough was reported to the West Yorkshire Police, and arrests were made. Due to political conditions between the UK and the Foundation at the time, the names of the arrested were never released. Containment procedures updated to forbid the use of Scp-2203 in hiring decisions, transfer requests, and vacation planning. Experiment 2203A26. Date 24th of October 1986. Subject: researcher Kathy Milner. Notes: subject is single and unattached. Score: wild. Card: Oscar Hamilton, redacted, Denver. He'd be the perfect gentleman. Result: Mr. Hamilton has been selected as a match 3 times to different subjects. All 3 subjects were female, heterosexual, between 25 to 30 years of age, of similar height and build, scored high on openness and introversion personality characteristics, and had a score parameter of wild. Mr. Hamilton was not associated with the Foundation. O5 approval to approach him for testing was requested and approved. Upon initial interview, Mr. Hamilton reported to be engaged and refused to offer to be tested with Mr. Hamilton voluntarily took a Class B amnestic and was released without testing. Experiment 2203A45. Date 11th May 1997. Subject: Dr. Misaki Ota. Nose: Subject is single and unattached. Subject reports being asexual and aromantic. Score: harmless. Card: Karen Schmidt. Redacted. Room 459, New York City. Relax. Her art will speak to you. Result: subsequent contact with Ms. Schmidt has been to date positive. Dr. Ota has provided considerable support for Ms. Schmidt's artworks and counts her as her best friend. Sexual and romantic orientation of subject has been preserved in all cases. All identification of partners have proven compatible for the subject. Experiment 2203A67. Date: 18th April 2003. Subject: B72234. Nose: Subject is single and unattached. Noted to have history of domestic violence. Requested testing on Scp-2203. Score: uncontrollable. Card: you should have waited. And there we go. That is Scp-2203. Let's see what you all said during that. Hello, Halfpint. Welcome. Are you another late joiner to this group of new researchers? You dropped 2k feathers while checking text in. Out of character? No, it's not appropriate for this stream. But in other streams, yes. In character, I don't know what that means. Dr. Sparrow struggles to speak. Well, you know, I've had a very stressful couple of months since I was last here. It's kind of all I gotta say on that matter. Sometimes speaking is not so easy when you also have to think a lot. My brain is always working at quite an incredible amount of overtime. You're in class? You're in class now with me. But also, if you're in other classes, that is fine. Don't worry. What do we think of that? It's interesting. This SCP seems initially to be something like one of the less dangerous ones. Scroll back up to the top. But at the end there, I mean, if you paid attention, right? They'll declass at the end. B72234. Is that not probably Ron Towson? Patient's friend, and then you should have waited. So, it does sound pretty harmless at first, but perhaps it's not such a good idea to have this sort of thing out in public if incidents like that can occur. I don't know, though. You love this? I'm glad. I hope it's very informative for you. That's my goal here. I want to make sure you guys know that all you know all that you need to know. That other people in the SCP Foundation might not teach you. You know? You may be wondering why am I talking about love and stuff when it comes to the apocalypse, right? We're talking about the apocalypse all the time. Why are we talking about love now? Well, love is in situations like a potential apocalypse that could happen at any time. You never know when. You never know when. It could be any time. Literally any time. Actually, let's put that down for a second. Literally any time could the apocalypse happen. Things like love are very important, right? To hold on to that need to continue, that need to maybe try and fix things, maybe in ways that seem a little outlandish, perhaps even a little bit dangerous, you know? But if you're not holding on to things like love, you don't really have much of a reason to continue. Love can get you through the apocalypse, but also so can, you know, a great amount of training and preparation, so that's also important. With the SCP-3, there's a reason things are kept in the SCP Foundation. You know? I mean, the reason it was reclaimed was because people were fighting outside of it, and we saw in the testing log that there is a potential for interactions between these people to go wrong. I don't know if having something like that in the public is a good idea. And if you found the one through this machine, would you ever know if it was real? Or if it was just what the machine told you? It's a good question. I think so anyway. The same reason you're kept in there with the SCP? I'm not with the SCP, I'm in a lab, you see? This is a regular lab. I'm not an SCP. I feel I should drill this into you. I did joke about it. I'm not an SCP. I'm a researcher. Yeah. You know? Nothing anomalous about me. Nothing at all. Let me quickly check how much time we have left. I think we're pretty good on time, but it's always good to check. Okay, we're fine. We're doing okay. It's a little too intense, but it's fine. If I can get this back in my pocket, we'll be alright. There we go. Should we read another one? That was a pretty pleasant one. That was pretty nice. You know? Wasn't too bad. Probably won't necessarily all be like that, but researcher who doesn't want us to tell security you're there? Only because I didn't book the lab out. I explained this already. You're really supposed to book labs out before you do stuff in them. That's the only reason. They know I'm in the building. I definitely signed in when I came into this building. You know, they've seen me. They know I'm here. I'm meant to be here. This is my job. I just didn't book the lab out. That's all. You know. No reason for me not to be here. Why wouldn't I be here? How would I have got in here if I wasn't meant to be here, you know? Anyway. Don't worry about me, okay? Just focus on the SCP information, okay? I'm not suspicious, okay? Listen, I'm just trying to do what I need to do. And if that looks suspicious to you, then I'm sorry, but sometimes you have to do dangerous things or suspicious things to solve a problem. So, let's read another SCP, shall we? Reminder that I will completely read the SCP before I respond to chat. So. Chat, I mean the lesson, you know. Simply get a tram. Okay, now we're gonna read this is SCP-3745. Wish you were contained, it'd be safer that way. I mean, you could put in a request, but I don't think they have the resources just to be containing random people, so. No money. Alas. I don't know what advice to give you. I don't know why you're out. You'll be fine. It's good to teach you how to survive, you know? It's important that we learn how to survive. Remember last time I was here, we talked about surviving in the dark? Very important. With that, proposal. Wish to be contained. You're a weird class, huh? You are a weird class. Hello, Fancy BLK. Welcome to the lesson. How is it going? We have a lot of, late joiners. It looks like the SCP Foundation is a little bit slack on, timekeeping. But that's fine. I don't mind. You know? As long as you're at least hearing a bit of what I have to say. Where the hot SCPs? Wow. They let anyone in here, huh? They let anyone sign up to be a researcher nowadays. You know what? Hot SCPs? I'm sure they're out there. I'm sure they're out there for you. You know what? We're talking about love today, so... You know, maybe we'll find the one. But I wouldn't recommend finding the one in the containment cells. Seems like a bad idea. But not my job to stop you, so let's read this SCP. Reminder that I don't respond to chat until the SCP has been read. I think there are many, yes. SCP-3745. Object class, safe. Reclassified to neutralized. Special containment procedures. The remains of SCP SCP-3745 are to be held in a standard containment locker. Due to the cessation of its anomalous properties, testing of SCP-3745 is no longer a priority. Obsolete containment procedures. I get access to these. Look at me go. I don't need to worry about that. SCP-3745 is to be stored in a standard non-humanoid holding cell. Physical contact is not to be made with SCP-3745 outside of a due process event unless for the purpose of testing. Prior to the initiation of a due process event, primary subjects are to detail all previous romantic partners within Procedural Documentation Survey 37451. Individuals detailed in this document are to be monitored remotely by Foundation operatives during the initiation of the due process event. Following the displacement of the secondary subject, Class A amnestics are to be administered to any civilian witnesses present. If alive upon the conclusion of a due process event, secondary subjects are to be anesthetized and returned to their place of residence following a health screening. If deceased upon the conclusion of a due process event, secondary subjects are to be autopsied and disposed of accordingly. Description: SCP-3745 is an amalgamation consisting of opponents from 2 human skeletons. Based on the shape of the mandible and pelvic regions, SCP-3745 skeletal components are believed to originate from an adolescent male and female. The left and right halves of SCP-3745 are fused along the longitudinal axis of the pelvis, and diverge along the lower spinal cord into 2 torsos connected by the ribs and 2 separate skulls. SCP-3745 skeletal components are believed to have been fused through temperatures in excess of 17,000 degrees Celsius, as evidenced by the amorphous hydroxylapatite molecular structure found at points of fusion. The phrases, in Russian, would read, "Two lovers in eternal embrace," and "Stolen by a descending flame," are engraved on SCP-745's left and right T2 vertebra, respectively. SCP-3745 emits constant but negligible levels of gamma radiation. Any human, henceforth designated the primary subject, who makes physical contact with SCP-3745 will undergo a due process event. Direct contact with the skin is not required. Secondary contact through adjacent materials such as clothing will also trigger a due process event. During a due process event, the primary subject, as well as any materials attached to their person, will be instantly transported to a location designated SCP-37451. Another individual, hereafter designated the secondary subject. I forgot this one has weird laughing in it. Will also be displaced to SCP-37451 from their current location at this time. The secondary subject is invariably someone who, as the primary subject, has experienced a romantic attachment to. While the due process event is in progress, no other subject can be displaced to SCP-37451, and SCP-3745 can be touched without incident. SCP-37451 contains a largely arid desert environment, the size and extent of which is currently unknown. The sky is perpetually hazy, and temperatures average between -12 degrees C and 14 degrees C. No plant life has been found within SCP-37451. Multiple streets, houses, and buildings are present within SCP-37451, all in various states of damage and dilapidation. No inhabitants of SCP-37451 have been found. SCP-37451 exhibits unsafe levels of radiation, approximately 500 MSV/H. However, displaced subjects experience neither short-term nor long-term symptoms expected from radiation exposure of this caliber, instead typically expiring from dehydration within days of displacement due to the scarcity of liquid water within SCP-37451. A depress event ends when one or both of the displaced subject ceases vital functions. Upon the conclusion of a depress event, both subjects, or the remains thereof, will return to baseline reality, reappearing in the approximate location of their initial displacement. Really dry. Addendum 37451. Experiment log 3745D04. Primary subject D7721. Secondary subject Margaret Ross. No witnesses during displacement. Disappearance attributed to a non-anomalous abduction. Procedure. Primary subject was equipped with a standard Foundation expedition pack containing enough water and dehydrated nutritional supplements to enable approximately 3 weeks of travel for 2 individuals. Primary subject was instructed to explore the surrounding area of SCP-3745-1 and to record anything of note in a provided journal. Initiation date. This is American. 03/28/1962. Conclusion date. 02/14/2018. Results. Depress event lasted far longer than expected. Both subjects returned heavily aged and deceased. Clothing and other materials attached to subjects were severely burned, but the subjects themselves were unscathed. Cause of death could not be determined. Following the conclusion of the depress event, SCP-3745 disintegrated into calcium phosphate granules. These granules did not display any of SCP-3745's former properties. Cover and edges of D7721's journal were charred, but its contents were mostly legible. Notable excerpts from D7721's journal are attached below. Day 1, I guess. Reading the journal now. Okay, so I just touched the weird skeleton thing, and now I'm in, I don't know, it looks kind of like a bedroom. I'm gonna have to look around. Yep, it's a bedroom. I think it's a children's bedroom. There are lots of framed pictures of a kid. They're all pretty blurry though. They look old. Everything in this room is dusty, like it hasn't been touched in ages. Alright, I've explored the rest of the house. Everything's old and abandoned. Also the roof caved in on what I think is the kitchen. There's this weird feeling like this whole place is kind of familiar. Don't know why though, my house looked nothing like this. I'm looking around outside now. Everything's fucked out here as well. There's dusty streets and half-destroyed buildings. Hang on, I hear something. Guess who I just fucking found? Fucking Margaret. She was a few houses down from me, yelling for help. You dickhead scientist said there'd be someone else here, but I didn't think you were gonna abduct my fucking high school girlfriend. Is this why you had me fill out that goddamn form? I swear to God I'll fucking kill all of you if I ever get out of here. Day 2. Alright. I've calmed down a bit now. Margaret has too. She's handling this much better than I would have if I were in her situation. Apparently she was making dinner in her apartment when she got sent here without any warning. At least I knew something fucked up would happen when I touched that skeleton. I tried to act like I didn't know what was going on either, but she could always see right through me. I ended up telling her that I was forced to work for some scientists who do Area 51 type bullshit, which isn't a lie, just the truth minus some facts. And I got sent here in one of their experiments. I had no idea she'd be sent here too, and she seemed to believe me on that. We explored some of the surrounding area. Old, abandoned, just like the house. No signs of any food or water either. There were street signs on some of the corners, but they weren't in English. Margaret said they were in Russian, so I guess we're in Russia? I don't think Russia is supposed to be this wrecked, but I haven't exactly been keeping up on current events. Day 3. Margaret and I decided to travel in one direction and see if we can find some form of life. So far there's still nothing but destruction. We did a lot of catching up while we wandered through the city. Margaret's in grad school now studying psychology. It's funny to see how responsible she's gotten. Back in high school, neither of us had any future plans. We always talked about running away and living in the Everglades or the Pine Barrens or some shit. Anywhere where we wouldn't have to deal with college and money and all that stupid man-made stuff. Margaret was pretty calm the entire time we talked. Feels like she's adjusting to this whole thing unnaturally fast. I think I am too. I know the situation's fucked up, but for some reason I just can't bring myself to care all that much. I know this probably isn't the kind of stuff you scientists want me writing down, but on the other hand, you sent me into an apocalyptic wasteland, so fuck you. If one of you bureaucrats had to spend hours sifting through my personal thoughts in order to find anything of scientific value, then that's a small victory for me. Day 6. I noticed something weird about the buildings. Margaret noticed something weird about the buildings. Alright, Marks, you got me. A lot of the damage seems like normal fire and explosion type stuff, but some of it isn't. One house has a perfectly circular hole through it, about 10 feet wide, perfectly smooth. Another building was completely sideways and buried about 5 feet in the ground. No signs that it was knocked over, it just looked like it was placed there. Really freaky shit. We actually ended up camping out in the house with the hole in it. Marta said she liked the view. We'll continue exploring tomorrow. Day 12. The further we travel, the more fucked up the landscape is. All the skyscrapers have been bent and twisted in ways I didn't think were possible. Marks tried to walk through one of the front doors and instead came right out the back door, as if there were nothing in between. Every building is messed up in some unique way. Also, there are these ripples in the air, like when it's hot out, but they're only in small clusters. I threw a rock at one and it disappeared for a few seconds before reappearing in the same place. I tried to pick it up, but it burned my hand. Not all bad, though. Margaret and I discussed our options, and we've decided to choose a permanent shelter since things only seem to be getting worse the farther we travel, and the rations will last longer if we conserve our energy. Marx picked out a nice house by what I think used to be a lake. It's not the least damaged house in the area, but she said she liked the layout. I might try to fix the place up eventually. A lot of the second story is collapsed, but we'll see. Day 14. Great news. We finally found food and water. One of the weird sky ripples has a stream of water falling out of it. Looks like it's falling out of nothing. It's really weird. It's salt water and it's scalding hot, but Mark says she can rig something to purify it and make it drinkable. Between this and starting the campfires every night, I don't know what I'd do without her. She says she knows all this stuff because she was a Girl Scout, but I was a Boy Scout for a while and I don't remember any of this. She's really something. As for food, Mark said she saw rats scuttling under an open sewer grate about a quarter of a mile away. We're going to use what's left of our food supply to try and lure them into some traps. Hopefully they like the taste of these nutrient bars more than I do. I feel like I should be unnerved by the idea of eating a rat, but I'm not. It just feels normal. This whole trip has. Day 17. You'll not believe what I found this morning. I was wandering around the city setting up some of our rat traps, when suddenly I found this army— whoop. Uh-oh. when suddenly I found this army tank looking thing. I mean, it wasn't like a regular tank. Or at least not one I've ever seen. It's got a big glass sphere inside where the cannon part should be, and big spidery legs instead of treads. I took a look inside, pressing buttons and such, and actually got it to work. I can't get the top part to rotate or the glass sphere to do anything, but I can make it walk forwards at least, although one of its legs seems to be broken. I rode it back to our house and I swear I haven't seen Mark smile that much since prom. We took turns driving each other around in it. It was just like back in high school. Is it bad that I'm enjoying this? Day 18. I told Marks everything. I told her about all the mistakes I made that got me stuck working for you mad scientists. But note. Prior to enlistment at the Foundation, D7721 was incarcerated for armed robbery and drug trafficking. This statement is believed to be in reference to these crimes. I told her how part of me knew she would end up here with me, and how part of me is happy she did. No, not part of me, all of me. I'm happy that we're here together, as fucked up as that may be. I just couldn't keep it to myself anymore. She seemed so relieved when I told her. She said she'd been feeling the same way, and that the guilt was getting to her just like it was for me. I hardly even know what happened after that. It was like something took control of us, and the next thing I knew we were kissing. I know it hasn't even been 3 weeks, and I know you scientists will chalk this up to some weird paranormal mind control or something, but I don't care. We're happy here. We're home. Note, it's believed that D7721 stopped using the journal for an extensive period of time following this entry. Yay, hell if I know. Jeez, this brings back memories. I haven't seen this thing in forever. Must have gotten buried under all the clutter in the house. Sorry if that leaves a big hole in your research, scientist, but to be honest, your research hasn't been a priority for me recently. But I guess as long as I'm writing, I might as well give you a little update. I tied the knot with Margaret a few years ago. It was a small ceremony, as you can imagine. Still, it was amazing. We aren't planning on having any kids or anything. We weren't about to Adam and Eve this place. We were never too keen on the family life anyway, so it's not a big loss. We fixed up the house. It looks pretty much normal if you ignore all the skinned rats hanging in the kitchen. It took some time, but it really does feel like a home to us now. There's also a bunch of other weird apocalyptic stuff that we've discovered around town. That spider tank was just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to freaky sci-fi shit. I'm sure you scientists would love to hear all about it, but I'm not your lab rat anymore. You guys can touch that skeleton yourselves if you want to know so damn bad. Note, following this entry, D7721 began using the journal on an infrequent basis. The entries became shorter and provided less information regarding Scp-37451. A sample of these entries has been presented below. 5th anniversary today. We used one of the larger brats we've been saving for the occasion. Made rat mignon. It was really nice. Found a massive rat down by the roundabout, almost 2 feet long. I took him home with me and named him Scooter. I always wanted a dog. I explored a building a few miles south that I always thought looked familiar. Looked like a school or something. Found a basketball with a hole in it. Now I just need some duct tape. Tank broke down today. Tried getting underneath it to see what was wrong and nearly threw out my back. I'm not as young as I used to be. He's still so beautiful, even after all this time. Note, following this entry, D7721 appeared to undergo a change in behavior and began writing in greater detail. The feeling is back, the feeling that we're supposed to be here. I suppose it never left. I've always been aware of its presence, but it's been dormant for years now. We haven't needed it, we've been happy. But now it's stronger, and it's telling us that we're not supposed to be here anymore. It wants us to travel east. Margaret feels it too. We packed some supplies and we're going to head out in the morning. Hopefully the journey isn't too far. Margaret's knees have begun to ache when she walks, and my chest hurts whenever I exert myself too much. We'll just take it slow and see what happens. The landscape's getting more desolate with each day of travel. Most of the buildings are just piles of rubble now. The ripples are growing more common. They make it hard to see in some directions, but the path we're following is mostly clear. The feeling is getting stronger, a feeling of closure. I don't know how to describe it. It's like we've spent our whole lives completing some important task, and now all that's left is to reach this destination. It's an uplifting feeling, if not a bit unsettling. There aren't any buildings anymore, just miles of empty desert in all directions. The ripples are more common now. We have to deviate from the path frequently in order to get by them. They radiate heat, so it burns to get too close. I'm not sure how long we can avoid it, though. The land has started tilting downward. It wasn't noticeable at first, but now it's really steep. It's a nightmare for Margaret's legs, so I've been helping her. It won't be long now, I can feel it. Jesus Christ, it's hot. There are ripples everywhere. I don't know how much more of this we can take. There are puddles on the ground. They aren't water, they're some silvery substance. Holy shit, I just looked at Margaret's reflection in the water and it's not her. It's some other girl. And my reflection's some other guy. Oh my god, it's the kid from the picture. He looks older, but it's definitely him. He's smiling at us, he's so happy, he's so happy. The ground has leveled out. We're in some kind of crater. We can barely see at this point, it's just ripples all around. Ripples all around, boiling. There's a heart, no, 2 hearts, kind of fused together, floating in the center. Beating so loud, burning so hot, but they won't be beating much longer. I see it now. This is where it began, and where it must end. They were in love. All this time they were in love. We were in love. Now they've returned to accept their fate. They are grateful. But they're ready to go now. We're ready to go now. And then in Russian. We thank you for giving your love. Through it, we've experienced the years together that were stolen by war. Our time has passed, as well as yours. We wish you luck in what happens next. There we go. That was SCP-3745. What do we think of that, huh? That was quite nice. The actual SCP we didn't hear much about. It was a fused skeleton. But this is a really good example for you, for what I've been talking about. This way that love can help you survive through an apocalyptic scenario, like they were kind of stuck in. Not the same sort of thing, but same idea, really. That one was cool. It was pretty cool to hear about. You can go read the documentation yourself if you missed any of it, as I suspected some of you might have. But definitely a very interesting one. You know, for some of these SCPs, the stories behind them are perhaps more interesting than the SCPs themselves. Obviously, that one isn't in the SCP's possession anymore, as it is. Well, it's still in the possession, it's just not whole anymore, but very interesting to read about. And it's good they survived pretty well, considering the situation. Eating rats doesn't sound great, but it's the sort of thing you have to get used to, I guess. You know? In these sort of scenarios. Lucky they had a clean water source, that's very convenient for them. But they managed to live into old age in an apocalyptic scenario. Mainly through the power of love, so that's pretty cool. That's pretty good for them. Happy for them. That's still the love tester? Nope, completely different. Completely different one. Very different. But definitely good. What do you think? What do y'all think? Any thoughts? Do you think you could survive in that kind of scenario? I guess the survival wasn't the main point of that, but it's the most relevant thing to what I'm talking about here, really, you know? You missed it all? That's unfortunate. I suspect there'll be a record of this live call somewhere, if you would like to read it back. There'll also be links available. The articles that we've been reading. Smile. You think you'd go insane? You think that. Humans are a lot more resilient than you initially think, though. You know? You may not think that in a situation like that you could survive, you could make it through. But maybe you'd be able to, you know? If you had the right tools and the right training. Maybe you could. That's why this is so important. That's why this training is so important. Because you only have so much time to learn these things. You know? Speaking of time... Actually, how are we doing? Ugh. Okay, we have a little bit left. We have a little bit of time left. That's good. That's good. I'm not gonna, let it overrun like last time. You're already going insane from just school? You mean your, SCP education? I can understand how that might send you a bit insane. Because, boy, they got a lot going on here. We got a lot going on here, you know, I'm also part of this company. Anyway. Every time we struggle to open, that's hilarious. Well, you know, the gloves, they're not the most convenient. I wish I could take them off, but... You know. Well, you don't know, but I know. But they're better than the last gloves I had. Those ones are kind of wrecked. These ones are not too bad. Time until what? Time until I have to leave. My time in this lab will be over. You know? But we're not gonna let it fully run out. We're gonna we'll temper ourselves, you know. We got one more little article we can give it a read. I think we have time. I think we have time for that, as long as it's not too long. How about we give that one a go through? Sus? Why is it sus? You know? I'm sure there's another... You know, yeah, there's another class booked in here. You know, it's a lab, there's people want to use it. How long is left? Just a little bit of time. It's hard to say exactly. It's difficult to interpret, but not a huge amount of time, but enough time. I want to get as much done in these sessions as I can, because I don't have that long with you guys. I want to make sure you're ready for whatever comes. Whatever that could be, you know? Could be anything. But we're specifically looking at the apocalypse. Shall we read another article? I'm giving you a time. Don't worry, don't worry. I'll keep an eye on it. We won't run out of time. I'm good at keeping track of these things, you know? We definitely won't run out of time. Trust me. We should have enough for this last one, I think. We should be good, right? Check. Yeah, I think we should be good. Multiple choice quiz? It might be, you never know. This will be 50% of your grade, or whatever they say. I'm not a teacher. Well, I kind of am now, I guess. Eh. Anyway. Scp-2989. Should we have a read? There's a fun little guy there. Scp-2989. Object class safe, reclassified to neutralized. Special containment procedures. Site 2989 Alpha has been constructed in the Arashiyama bamboo forest in Sagano, Kyoto, Japan, at the point at which SCP-2989 instances manifest. Site 2989 Beta has been installed at the former Barneswood Public Library, Barneswood, Montana, USA. While manifested, SCP-2989 instances are to be constantly observed and recorded. SCP-2989 instances may be handled for observation purposes while not feeding. SCP-2989 instances are not to be interacted with or disturbed while in the pupal stage. And we can see we have P-2989A there. The image of B seems to be missing, but you can imagine. Description. Hello. I'm in the middle of reading, but yes, can I help you? It's Sparrow, by the way. I don't know what that's about. That seems we might have a little virus in the old Foundation chat box. I'm sure it's fine. Do I know what? You typed too slow. I'm getting back to reading. Description. SCP-2989-A and SCP-2989-B are a pair of organisms resembling a Japanese emperor caterpillar and an orange spicebush swallowtail caterpillar, respectively. SCP-2989 instances will periodically undergo spontaneous spatio-temporal shifts, relocating to a seemingly random point in time at either Site-2989 Alpha or Site-2989 Beta. In order to trigger these shifts, SCP-2989 instances will enter their pupal stages, at which point the instances will dematerialize and rematerialize outside of its chrysalis at another point in the timeline. Of note is that the time elapsed between when an SCP-2989 instance enters its pupal stage can last anywhere from a few minutes to several years. Though multiple temporal copies of each instance have been observed at the same time, and SCP-2989-A and SCP-2989-B have both materialized at the same time at different sites, at no point have both SCP-2989 instances have been observed to exist at the exact same time, at the exact same site. Redacted, see Addendum 2. Excuse me. SCP-2989 instances have demonstrated the ability to ingest and metabolize both paper products and bamboo plant tissues with no adverse effects. Whenever dematerializing from Site-2989 Beta, SCP-2989 instances cause the growth of bamboo plants on nearby surfaces. Upon dematerializing from Site-2989 Alpha, SCP-2989 instances cause the discoloration of nearby surfaces. This discoloration takes the form of text in modern English, French, and Japanese. Addendum 1. Samples of text generated by SCP-2989 instances at Site-2989 Alpha. Text generated by SCP-2989-A. I see all your words. Why am I still unable to find you, my dear? A blind man is one who sees but has no vision. A faithful man is one whose vision is still beyond the horizon. How then can faith be blind, and vision needless of faith? Wait, I think we almost met the last time. Try aiming a bit to your left. I must find you, I need you, I miss you with my entire being, and yet even though I let all my words flow out from my heart in the present, they are unable to find you. Text generated by Scp-2203 And so, we follow endlessly the troubles which we leave for ourselves, unable to move on, except in this hopeful infinity, unable to forget. Why are so many feelings needed, when one overwhelms the universe? Twirling through the ocean vast, side by side 2 nets are cast, each one hopes to snag the other, to hold love stronger than a brother. I miss you. Addendum 2, Incident 2989 Atlas. On Redacted of 20 Redacted, both Scp-2989A and Scp-2989B simultaneously materialize at Site 29A9 Alpha. Both Scp-2989 instances move towards each other, triggering a spatial disturbance. Once the disturbance had subsided, both instances had merged into a single chrysalis. After 8 days, a butterfly of unknown species, designated Scp-2989C, emerged from the chrysalis. Scp-2989C's wings possessed a fractal pattern with orange, yellow, and green coloration. After 3 hours and 43 minutes, Scp-2989C underwent a spatial temporal shift, escaping containment. Discolorations on nearby surfaces form the words "whole" in 55 different languages, the same languages used on the Voyager Golden Record, as well as in 3 unknown scripts. No Scp-2989 instances observed as of Incident 2989 Atlas. Object class changed to neutralized. Well, that's lovely. You know, they were both lost in time, but, you know, despite everything, they were still able to eventually find their way back to each other in the timeline. It's hard to imagine how difficult that could be, to be separated not even just through space, but also through time, from somebody you care about so much. You know? But that's great, you know? It's they found each other eventually, in the end. Yeah, that's nice. You know, that's good. I'm happy for them, I guess. You know, the butterflies, but it's still good. Well, you know, that was pretty short. I think we're probably still pretty good on time. You know, I mean, shit. Yeah, looks like we're still doing pretty. Shit, what happened? Did I get disconnected again? What time is it? God, I hate these stupid gloves. I wish my hands were. Shit.